Welcome to the IEP in a Minute series. In this series, we'll break down each section of the IEP page by page in easy to understand modules, all in just about 5 minutes each. Each module helps you understand not just what goes where, but why it matters. And before we dive into the IEP itself, let's take a look at starting with the big picture, the thread of educational benefit. That's the focus of this module, and it helps us lay the foundation for thoughtful, individualized, and reasonably calculated IEPs. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Caitlin Prevost, and I'm a program specialist with the El Dorado Charter SELPA. I'll be your guide through this series, designed to support you in drafting IEPs that are truly individualized and aligned with the thread of educational benefit, making the process more approachable, one section at a time. The thread of educational benefit conveys that every IEP should tell a cohesive story of how assessment, present levels, goals, services, and placement all work together to support meaningful progress for the student. Before jumping into the importance and relevance, we're going to take a brief detour to understand its origin and to define exactly what it is. Andrew F. is a landmark decision that shapes our understanding of a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE, and the thread of educational benefit. In his opinion, Chief Justice Roberts stated, "An IEP is not a form," a powerful reminder that while the IEP is captured on paper, it's a living, evolving plan. Thoughtful development, implementation, and ongoing review are essential to ensuring student progress. When used intentionally, the IEP becomes a roadmap that can meaningfully impact a student's educational journey. This image illustrates the thread of educational benefit, beginning with the standards, which define the learning targets. In other words, the expectations for students based on their age or grade. When a student displays difficulty with accessing or making progress towards standards, the special education process may be initiated, beginning with assessment. Assessment establishes present levels to identify needs, which drive goals, and ultimately determine service and placement to support student progress. Providing educational benefit is the foundation of IEP development, and it's where compliance meets meaningful outcomes for students with disabilities. While the IEP may appear as a series of forms, it's really a cohesive plan, grounded in the Andrew F. decision. Let's start with the first stop in the thread of educational benefit, standards. Standards are the learning targets for all students and serve as a roadmap for instruction. To use standards effectively, educators must understand the grade level standard for the student's enrolled or age-appropriate grade, identify the intent of the standard, determine what students must know and be able to do, and break the standard into core skills needed for mastery. The second stop along the thread of educational benefit is assessment. When a student is struggling to make progress with the general education curriculum or in the general education setting, assessment may become necessary. Assessment is a crucial step as it provides the team with the necessary data to make eligibility determinations, establish present levels, and identify needs. From comprehensive assessment, teams gain knowledge about the student's present levels of performance. Present levels of performance address key areas of a student's educational functioning, using data from assessments to describe how the student is currently performing in each area shown here. Through assessment and present levels, teams can identify needs such as academic, behavioral, social-emotional, functional, vocational, or anything else related to a student's disability. Through identifying needs, Goals in the rest of the IEP can be developed to enable appropriate progress. Teams then develop goals in each area of need. A baseline is always required when writing goals. Goals must always state when the skill must be achieved by, or when, who is achieving the goal, the student, name the specific skill, does what, identify any supports required, given what or under what conditions, measured by, who is tracking the student's progress, and at what level of mastery. Once goals and objectives are developed and agreed upon, then services can be determined based on the level of need identified through goals. When developing services, it's important to consider that decisions about services are aligned with the LRE, or the least restrictive environment, and that services and supports are designed to promote students' independence. Progress monitoring is a required component of the IEP and must be measured and reported. It can include a variety of formal and informal assessment results, but must always align with the skills outlined in the student's goals. Progress is reported consistently to the student and family at a rate determined by the student's IEP, but must occur at least as frequently as general education students receive progress reporting. Progress monitoring also might lead to adjusting IEP goals, or it can lead to the discovery of unidentified areas of need. And when this happens, new assessment may be warranted, which requires revisiting the thread of educational benefit. To wrap up, I'll leave you with this question. How can understanding the thread of educational benefit support discussions with other IEP team members? Take a moment to pause and reflect. Some potential takeaways might include highlighting the critical role of assessment in the IEP process, creating a shared understanding of the IEP's purpose, establishing a common language among IEP team members, and providing a framework for discussions about services or placement by first revisiting identified needs and goals. As you move forward, I encourage you to integrate this approach into your IEP development to ensure that decisions are meaningful, individualized, and benefit-driven. Thanks for joining me to learn more about the thread of educational benefit as we kick off the IEP in a Minute series. Be sure to check out the additional resources linked below for a deeper dive into today's topic. And remember, every IEP must be individualized to meet the unique needs of the student.